Hey guys, happy baby name Monday. I'm SJ. I do a brand new baby name video here on YouTube every single Monday. Last week's was Bohemian baby girl names, and this is kind of like the sister name list but for boys. Rather than going too hippie-ish, I've kind of done hipster arty boy names because I think these still sound really masculine. Hippie boy names can be a little alternative for a lot of people, so these are more up and coming, trendy, hipster cool names. I love the names on this list. Some of them are a little bit more in the top 500, but most of them are unranked. So I hope you love them as much as me. Do hit subscribe to follow Baby Name Mondays. There's a huge backlog now of name videos you can go back and watch. And I would absolutely love it if you would share this list with a friend as well who you think might like it. You can just click share below on YouTube and ping it out on Facebook or in a message or anything, and just get everyone over enjoying baby names. I have 10 amazing boy names for you. First boy name hits a couple of big hipster trends, one being a place name and one being Hebrew names, which you've probably seen going crazy at the moment, and the name is Jeriche. Jeriche is such a hipster name. I love it. I love the length of it. I love the fact that it is really easy to pronounce because most of us are familiar with Jericho from the Bible. Along with Jerusalem and Damascus, it is a holy city that we learn about when we were younger at Sunday school. I went to Sunday school, maybe you guys did as well. And Jericho is actually a very ancient city, so even if you are not religious, it's a great one to choose. Archaeologists have dated about 20 civilizations in Jericho, dating right back to about 9000 BC. So even if you're not religious, it is a fantastic ancient city that is just incredible. I love that type of history, don't you? As a name, it's very familiar. It's a bit like Jeremy or Jonah. We love J names for boys. The city is actually near the Jordan River, so if you have a Jordan, then Jericho could be a really cute little sibling for him. What do you think of Jericho? There's 6 baby boys named Jericho in 2016, so it is starting to get some use from the hipsters. Next up is a more popular name at number 291, but still very hipster sounding, is the name Franklin. Franklin hits into that sort of modern virtue trend that we're seeing, and Frank is a name I absolutely love, but Franklin does make it also have that kind of surname as first name cool, and I just really like it. Chaucer wrote A Franklin's Tale, so if you have connections to literature or to Canterbury, I actually went to university in Canterbury for many years. It's a gorgeous place, and if I'd have known about the Franklin's Tale, that's a lovely connection to have. A Franklin literally translates as a free man. They were essentially somebody who wasn't nobility but owned their own land and could live quite freely, so it's got that kind of old meaning to it. And of course there's Benjamin Franklin, who was one of the founding fathers of America. There's lots of history about Benjamin Franklin. He appears on some of the currency in the US. So yeah, a gorgeous name steeped in lots of different meanings and history. I just think it sounds cool. We've had Frankie for a girl for a long time. Frank is mega trendy at the moment, and Franklin is a little bit out there still, so a bit more hipster. Next up is a name I love, but it's not really a name, it's unranked, but that's very hipster. It's an occupational name, and that is the name Hopper. Doing hopper just sounds really cool, and there's quite a good few meanings to it as well. A hopper was a hop grower or seller, so it's got that occupational thing that Harper has. So Harper is so popular, hopper could be a really cool one for a boy. And a hop is actually a flower. So if you like nature names, hop is also a male flower name, which is really nice. And a hop is obviously brewed as one of the ingredients to make beer. So that makes this a very kind of masculine, cool name. I also like the fact that a hop is a dance. So like the Lindy Hop and things like that. So that is a very trendy sort of retro thing, isn't it? So yeah, Hopper, it is very cool. There are a few celebrities who've called their babies Hopper. What do you think of it? Next up is a gorgeous name with the name meaning laughter. How brilliant is that for your little baby boy? And that is the name Ike. Ike is got that lumberjack cool. That is a big trend we are seeing with hipsters, going back to those names like kind of Huck, Hunter. But Ike is a bit more out there still, but I just love the way it sounds. It's traditionally a nickname for Isaac, so if you wanted to go with Isaac but call him Ike, you could. There were only 3 baby Ikes in 2016, so go for it if you're looking for something a little bit special but still really cool. Okay, you all liked my pretty wild card name on the Bohemian girl name list, and this is kind of the similar one but for boys, which is the name Sundance. I love it so much. You should definitely put this on your list. You might only be brave enough to use it in the middle, but think about it. We have the name Sunny, which is really, really popular at the moment. Summer for a girl. Sundance is just kind of like a male equivalent. And a Sundance dates back to kind of Native Americans when they literally used to do a dance to bring the sun out in the summertime. So it's got that really, really cool kind of heritage to it there. But of course I always think of the Indie Film Festival, the Sundance Film Festival. So if you're into your movies, that is a very cool thing to name your child after. What makes this really trendy as well, and maybe sell it to the dads a little bit, is obviously the Sundance Kid. So it's got that kind of Western vibe as well, which, as I said, is getting very, very popular at the moment with names. The Sundance Kid was actually a real person. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were actually a famous group of outlaws in the US. They were known for not being that violent, so not picking a real gangster name, but a very famous one. His real name was Harry, but he was nicknamed the Sundance Kid. So if you've got a Harry in your family, then Sundance could be a nice way of linking the two. I just think it is so trendy, and if you want something really out there, really hipster, but very, very edgy and cool, go with Sundance. This next one is a bit more popular. It's at number 452. So there are a few babies called this last year, and that is the boy name Miller. So Miller is again a bit similar to Hopper in terms of it's an occupational name, and it means one who grinds the grain. We know it very much as Sienna Miller's surname, but Miller by itself I just think sounds so trendy for a little boy, and it's very English. It is an English baby name, and it dates back for many, many years as a surname, as first name cool. We've seen Jackson is the most popular rising name for boys last year, so how about getting Miller on your list? You know I love to chop in quite a few ancient Greek names. They are just really popular at the moment, and with Ophelia being so popular for girls, how about Orpheus for boys? So it's got a very similar sound. O names are so popular. This is an amazing name. Orpheus was a Greek musician and poet, and legend has it that his voice was so beautiful that he used to make the trees, the rivers, everything stop and dance when he used to sing. So what an amazing namesake for a little boy. I just absolutely love it. Orpheus. It is cool. Next up, 14 baby boys were called Spike in 2016, and it's one of my all-time favourite names. One of my work colleagues had a baby boy called Spike, and I always really loved it when he talked about Spike. It didn't sound really naff or too try hard, because it's quite a cool name, isn't it? Beware that lots of people do think it is a dog's name, but I really love it. It makes me think of Spike Milligan, the illustrator and comic, who I grew up watching and listening to a lot of his work when I was younger. There's also Spike Jones, Spike Lee. It doesn't sound too try hard or pretentious to me. It just sounds very down to earth, very cool, along the lines of like Buster and Buzz and those types of things. So Spike could be a great one for your list. At number 9 is the name Wes or Wesley. I couldn't decide whether just to put the nickname on. I was going to go with just Wes because I think it sounds really cool, and I'm really liking short names at the moment. But Wesley, as the longer meaning, means from the West Meadow, which is quite nice as a nature meaning. So yeah, whichever one you want to go with. But it's one of those that hasn't really come back, and W names are so popular for boys, aren't they? So we have Wilf doing the rounds at the moment, absolutely loads, and I think Wesley could be a kind of bit of more of a left field choice, but if you love that type of name. Number 594, so it's outside of the top 500, which means it isn't used loads. How about little Wesley? My last name is really out there. It is a Zulu name that's starting to get used for boys, but also for girls, and that is the name Zola. So people say it comes from the Latin, which means earth or ball of earth, so it's got that kind of really nice nature kind of sound to it as well. I think it sounds really boyish, and it sounds really cute for a little boy, and I know we really love Z names, and if you look like things like Ziggy but you want something a little bit even more unusual, then Zola is a great one. Zulu, it actually means quiet or tranquil, which I think is also a gorgeous name meaning, isn't it, for a little boy. So pop Zola onto your list if you like the sound of it. I think it would actually sound really brilliant with like a really normal English surname like Zola Smith or Zola Adams or Zola James. So those are my Arty Hipster Boy names. Do check out the Bohemian Girl names from last week, and do hit subscribe to follow Baby Name Mondays. If you hit the little bell as well below, you will get a notification every time there is a new video from me. I also do normal parenting videos for the rest of the week because I am a mum of 3 gorgeous little babies. Thank you as ever for watching, and I would love to hear your own ideas for hipster baby names in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.